Hey guys, it's Dalton of Team Akatsuki here, and welcome to Aragami 101. Now, for this one, I will be doing a little bit of a lesson to those who have just started watching my videos that, well, I might as well do a video known as Aragami 101. Now, for this one, I will only be doing mainly the origami, like say small origami, medium, large, scions, arc aberrants, ashborns, and human origami. Now I will not be including the now I will not be including the fallen variants nor the elemental variants. And I will not be including the golden variants like, say, the golden Vajra or the golden Gaboro. And I will not be including the adaptives and the ashrots. Because, well, I feel like that. I feel like that's a bit over the top. So, in case if I ever do a second video of Aragami 101, well, I might as well think about it because, well, anyway, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and click that notification bell. That way, you will be notified on whenever I upload a video. And like I said in the previous one, I'm actually terrible at video editing, so oh, and as for the source of where I'll be doing the origami info and images, I'm doing this off of the God Eater wiki page. So just hold on tight, and we'll be starting with the small origami first. So here we go. All right, so our first small one is known as the ogre tail. Let me just do it like. Now, if you guys can't tell, I'm doing this off of my laptop. So yeah, the ogre tail. Now, I will say this. Small origami don't have breakable bonds like the medium nor large size origami. So most of these are going to be from, well, the small origami themselves. So yeah, they're easy to kill. And as for elemental weaknesses, they're weak to blaze, shock, and freeze. And a little bit of a fun fact. Actually, there is no fun fact. Now, like I said before, I will not be including the fallen variants, though some variants are acceptable. So yeah. So next origami on the list is the zygote. So yeah, this is a zygote. It's another small origami. Now its attributes, well, none. And there are fallen variants of this origami as well. And from it looks like it's pretty much a woman mixed with an egg. But if you're saying that the human-like mouth is its mouth, that's where you're wrong, because through there is its mouth. Oh yeah, and these guys, or gals, whatever you want to call them, can actually launch out these guys actually poison their enemies. Yeah, so bring a lot of antidotes. So yeah. Now, like the ogre tail, they're weak to shock, freeze, and blaze. Yeah, I feel like that you guys are probably gonna be dizzy after the after I keep doing these. But like I said, I'm actually not really good at editing videos, so this is all I got. So yeah, up next is the Cocoon Maiden. So yeah, this is a Cocoon Maiden. I feel like I don't really need to say the weaknesses for this one, well, for the regular variant, because it's actually the same as, well, if I recall correctly, it's actually the same as the Ogre Tail and the Zygote. Now, I will say this. All the Cocoon Maidens are actually immobile, though they are small. Well, they're at the size of, well, they're at the height of a human, so. Though they are capable of ranged and melee attacks. Like when this open up, or when they just go up, spikes will impale you. And that's how they do the melee attacks. And as for the ranged attacks, they would actually bow their head about to shoot a cannon. Well, it's more like a sniper, really, but not too much of one. But yeah, that right there is a Cocoon Maiden. Easy to kill and easy to deal with. Oh, and before we go to our next small Aragami, which is the Night Hollow, I just want to say, D-Rex, if you're watching this video, well, you're about to learn a lot about Aragami. Even though you're not playing God Eater, I feel like I should make this video for those that want to know, or at least have to gain some knowledge of the Aragami without actually playing God Eater. But I feel like that that should be known. Anyway, I saw the stream and, well, I think it's pretty obvious because I left a comment. And moving on to the next small Aragami, which is the Night Hollow. So this is a Night Hollow. It's basically like a stump-like Aragami, though its attacks is somewhat similar to the Cocoon Maiden. Well, these guys fire sticky grenades rather than missiles, like the Cocoon Maiden. So, but these guys actually consist of projectile attacks. Though its body is incredibly weak, kind of like some small Aragami. Now, as for elemental weaknesses, well, it's like the regular Cocoon Maiden, regular Ogre Tail, and regular zygote, with them being weak to, well, shock, freeze, and blaze, but these guys are also weak to the fourth element, which is divine. Yep, and so on and so forth. Now, moving on to the silky. So yeah. I forgot to wait another second for the ad to go away. So this is a silky. Yeah. Well, it's a floating type Aragami, originating from the spiral tree. And its lingering blue fire attacks. Yeah, if you're fighting larger opponents, these Aragami are pretty much a pain. Now, as for... I feel like the elemental weaknesses are self-explanatory for this one. Now then... Oh yeah, as for that edited live stream that I've seen... Like D-Rex, I knew that you were going to put a few of the things I said in the live chat in the video. Like the whole salmon. You threw off salmon's groove. I'm sorry, but you threw off salmon's groove. Sorry! But I didn't think that you would actually edit the actual scene in there. Like, when I first saw this, and you saying that you now picture the whole thing of salmon just dancing to the Emperor's New Groove music. I mean, hey. When you mentioned that, I actually forgot that the majority of Nopons actually have a tendency to dance. No, I'm not just saying that mainly because of the main cast Nopon, like say Riku and the Pawn Specters, I believe that's what they're called. Along with Tora and his artificial blade Poppy. And I'm pretty sure the Poppy Buster. And also Riku and Manana and Ino. And also Tatsu in Xenoblade X. I almost forgot about Tatsu. Doltapon, almost forgot a Nopon who dresses up like a potato. And yeah, I had to snap myself out of the Nopon talk. Okay, now moving on to the next Aragami, which is the Axe Raider. Now, same weaknesses as the previous. I mean, the screenshot where that someone posted, it literally has the weaknesses that being blaze, freeze, and shock. Now then. Oh, and one thing I almost forgot when doing the intro for Aragami 101 is that I will be including some variants. It's the Fallen variants and the adaptives and the Ashrot that I'm not including, and some duplicates like the Blitz Hannibal, Rufus Caligula, and Last Vestige. Though I will make some exceptions, though. Oh, and also the golden Gaboro Gaboro and the Golden Vajra. I almost forgot about them. Alright, so moving on to the next small origami, which is a blast spider. Now, blast spiders are, well, I think it's self-explanatory. They're spider-like origami, and as for how they work, well, it's when they die, they pretty much self-destruct, really. And the best noticeable hint is when they die, those sacs, their back starts to overload and starts flashing, hinting that it's about to explode. And the weaknesses are the same as the previous ones, so. Now then, moving on to our last four. Now then, our fourth small origami is somewhat of, well, it's kind of like a piranha, which these are called abandons. And well, they're weak. Well, I mean, they're small origami, and they're similar to a long blade's predator form, well, specifically that of a god arc. As for weaknesses, same as the previous ones. Blaze, Spark, Freeze, and Divine. Now we go on to the armor. I don't know how we're gonna get the armor in there, so. So yeah, let me just move that out of the way. So yeah, that is an armor, and or armor. Now it's the same as the abandon. Get out of here. Now, like I said, I'm providing you the images and a little bit of the info from the God Eater wiki. So and I'm doing this all on my laptop, so just bear with me on this one. All right, so. Okay. Now moving on to our last two small origami. Oh, dang it. I missed one. Okay, what I meant to say is last three because I actually missed one, so. Alright, so. Here we have the Vajra tail. Well, this is specifically the Spark variation. Now, Vajra tails, well, they're the same as an ogre tail. I mean, they're ogre tails that mimic a Vajra. Now, considering that this one is Spark, his weakness is Freeze, if I recall correctly. Even though I fought one of them in God Eater Resurrection. I even fought the Blaze variant, which I will not include in this video, but probably the next one where I would do the Fallen variants and so on. So yeah, that is the Vajra tail. Now we go on to an Aragami, which is actually, okay, sure, it's a related species of the ogre tail, but its main species, though it actually originates from a scion Aragami, which we will get into later in the video, known as Yanzi. Okay, so this one is known as Zhao Wang. Now, Zhao Wang, well, I haven't fought one, so... Oh boy. I actually... Oh wait, I'm doing this on the wiki. I can easily... Okay, so it's the same as an Ogre Tail's Blaze, Freeze, and Spark, so same weaknesses as an Ogre Tail. Though, unlike the other Aragami, these guys don't drop items once they're killed. And well, the only way to... Oh, and the only way to get the items from, well, a dead Aragami is that you have to devour them. Yes. No, I don't mean you actually have to eat them. No, your God Arc eats them. Alright, now, moving on to our last small Aragami. This is a Dread Pike. You can see its name up there, Dread Pike. So yeah, it's basically like a beetle, but it's similar body shape. It's similar to an ogre tail, really. So yeah, you could say that this is... Oh wait, you could actually see the related species, so... So yeah, the Dread Pike, well, unlike the ogre tail, these guys can actually dig underground. Though these guys are even weaker than an ogre tail, so... As for its elemental weaknesses, well, it's weak to all four. Blaze, Freeze, Spark, and Divine, so... Wait, for those who have played Xenoblade 3... Am I technically cursing? But anyway, jokes aside... For now, that is. Alright. Scions. Induce phage. Alright, so now we go on to the medium Aragami. So yeah, the first one that we're starting off with... is the Congo. So yeah, this is a Congo. Now these guys are strong, but they're not too strong. And yes, they're pretty much big monkeys. Well, giant gorilla. Now these guys normally are fond of forming large groups. Even experienced God Eaters might be troubled by these packs. Now then, the breakable bonds for the Congo is the torso, the face, and the tail, though its weak point is its tail. As for elemental attacks, it's weak to Blaze and Spark. Now, moving on to the Fierce Congo. which is right here. All right, so this is a fierce Congo. Now, its attribute is spark, though its weakness element is divine. Now, its bonds, well, it's kind of similar to a regular Congo, except this time it's not the tail, it's the plume, the face, and the arms. Wait, is it the... Okay, it's not the face, it's actually the back. So yeah, the arms, the back, and the plume. Now its weak points are the legs. Well, both arms and both feet, so. Though it's resistant to spark. I mean, that would make sense considering that its attribute is spark. Alright, so. Alright, so up next is the Chi-Yu. So yeah, this is a Chi-Yu. So yeah, it's weak to blaze and freeze. Its main element is blaze. Now, a Chi-Yu has 3 breakable bonds, which is the head, the wings, and the legs. Though its weak points is the head and the fist. I assume on the wings, though. Alright, so that is a Chi-Yu. Now then, you could say I'm going through this, like, really fast. Alright, so... Oh yeah, and as for the whole Aragami 101, I will not be including the Arc Soldiers, because... Okay, sure, they count as Aragami, but I'm not including them because, well, they're pretty much God Eaters with high amounts of, well, Oracle cells. Right now I'm just checking to see which is a Deuce Phage and which is a Scion. Just so I don't make any mistakes when going ahead, so. Alright, segment. Okay, so we go on to our next medium Aragami, which is a relative of the Chi-Yu, known as Segment. Okay, so this is a Segment. As for the breakable bonds and weak points, they're the same as a Chi-Yu. And it's the same attribute as a Chiyu, that being a blaze, but its weakness is actually freeze. Yeah, just freeze. Nothing else. Now, moving on to our next medium Aragami, which is a Gaboro Gaboro. So yeah, this is a Gaboro Gaboro. And yes, it's pretty much a big fish with cannons. Now, Gaboro Gaboros have well, their breakable bonds is the fang, the back fin, and the torso, which is where the two cannons are. It's weak to blaze and spark elements. I mean, I don't blame it with it being a freeze elemental Aragami. Well, base form Gaboro Gaboro. Though its weak points are the arm fins and the torso, which is funny because the torso is one of its breakable bonds. Alright. Now we go on to a Yaksha. Okay, so this is a Yaksha. Its element, its attribute is divine. Anyway, as for the breakable bonds, it would be the pauldrons and the head. Its weak spot is the head. And its elemental weaknesses would be spark, freeze, and blaze. Though it is resistant to divine, which that would make sense with it being a divine one. And now we go on to its related species, the Yaksha Raja. So, this is a Yaksha Raja. Same typing as a regular Yaksha. Same weak points, though its breakable bonds, well, two of them are the same as a regular Yaksha. And yes, this is pretty much ahead of the Yaksha group. So yeah, unlike a regular Yaksha, this guy has 3 breakable bonds, which the 2 are the same as a regular Yaksha, that being the pauldron and the head. Though its 3rd bond is actually in the claws, which, as you can tell, this Aragami is kind of like if a Machamp has a gun for an arm. Though its elemental weaknesses, well, the same as a regular Yaksha. But we'll go on to its other variants first. Well, once we go into the arc aberrants. So right now, we have our first Vajra variant. And our first Vajra variant is a Ravana. Now, as for Ravana's breakable bonds, well, it's the head, back, and front legs. Its attribute is Blaze. Its weakness is Freeze and Spark, though it is resistant to Blaze and Divine. Also, be wary of this one because, I mean, it has a cannon, alright? Either that, or I think a Vajra might have ate Mithra's cooking. For those of you who actually got my joke, for that one, great on you. Alright, now we go on to... Wow. Now, I don't know if I can pronounce the name of this next origami. The Ukon Varsara. Screw it, I'm just gonna show it to you here. So, this is the Ukon Varsara. Now, apologize me if I actually butchered the name. Now, it's elemental weakness. Well, okay. The bonds on this origami, which it's basically like an electric crocodile. Well, if a crocodile ate a Pikachu. Or in this case, Zeke von Gembu. Okay, I'll shut up. Okay, so this crocodile says weak points is the head, the turbine on its back, and its tail. Its weak points is the same as its breakable bonds. Now, it's weak to Blaze and Freeze, though it's resistant to Spark, which... Well, I literally said that. Probably ate Zeke von Gembu. Alright, now we go on to a Havakiri, which its element is, well, it's the same as an Ukon Vasara. So yeah, here is a Havakiri. Now, its breakable bonds are the head, the boosters, and the arm blades. Though its weak points is the boosters when you break the bond. Its attribute is Spark, and it's weak to Blaze attacks. Alright, now we go on to our next medium origami. That being the Barbarius. So, I just gotta... Okay, this is a Barbarius. Well, its attribute is Freeze, though its fallen variant is Blaze. But like I said, I'm not doing the fallen variants in this video. Now, its breakable bonds is the head, the tail, and the drill. Its weak points, if I recall, it's the head and the drill when the bond is broken on the drill. Now, it is weak to Spark attacks. Not Blaze attacks, Spark attacks. Okay, it wasn't the head to where its weak point is. Though the Unbound Drill I was right about. No, it's actually the tail. Yeah, my bad. All right, now we go on to Animane. Right here. Now, for all of you Xenoblade players out there, yes, this Aragami, you can easily compare it to a Hyantia, mainly with the wings on the head. Which is funny because that's where this Aragami's, well, one of this Aragami's breakable bonds is. The wings on the head, the arms, and the legs. Its attribute is Blaze, its weakness is Freeze and Divine. So yeah. I mean, if you see this Aragami somewhere in Alchemist, thanks to this video, I think you now know how to deal with this one. Oh, I might warn you, it prefers close combat. When found on long range, it can perform a chain of lunge stabs up to 4 times in a row, unless it can hit a target. So, yeah, just be on guard when this Aragami's around. Okay, so now we go on to the false idol. So yeah, this is the false idol. Now its attribute is divine. Its breakable bonds is the shield, the core right there, and the center head. Now its weak points is the broken shield, which after you break the bond, the shield becomes its weak point. And the core. Wait. Okay. And I think that's all the medium-sized Aragami. Yeah, that's all the medium-sized Aragami for now. Because now we move on to large Aragami. And the first one on the list is a Vajra. Okay, so this is a Vajra. I mean, it's basically a big cat. A big cat with wings. Well, depending on the variant, because Dialspida and Privlimata and Lord of Thunder are variants of the Vajra. And apparently this guy's related to a Balmung. Apparently. Now this Aragami is weak to Blaze, Freeze, and Divine. Though the breakable bonds would be the tail, the head, and the front legs. So yeah, the Vajra does have the characteristics of, well, a tiger. So just be on guard with this one. Okay, so now we go on to Diospida, which is a variant of the Vajra. And you have seen this Aragami in the previous video I made, except the one that I showed you is when it has its wings, well, when it doesn't have its wings out. I will say this. So yeah, this is a Diospida with its wings out. So yeah, its weak points are the same as the Vajras, that being the tail, front legs, and the head. And, well, its element is divine. And if I recall correctly, it also has the spark. Let me check its... Nope, it's just divine. Though it is weak to divine attacks, which is ironic with it being... Well, no. It is weak to divine attacks. Alright, now we go on to a variant of the Diospida, which is the same as the Vajra. So yeah, this is Diospida, Heavenly Father. Now, instead of it having the divine attribute, it has the spark attribute. As for the breakable bonds of this Aragami, it would be the legs, the head, and the cape, which, as for the majority of all Vajra variants, it's pretty much how they generate electricity. Though its elemental weakness is divine. Which, oh boy. Alright, now we go on to the Prithimata. Which its element is freeze. So yeah. This is a Prithimata. Now, its elemental weakness is... Wait, is it spark? Okay, it's blaze and divine. It's weak to blaze and divine. It's weak to blaze and divine attacks. Sorry, I had to keep that burp in. Though as for the breakable bonds, it's the same as the normal Vajra and Diospida. Head, legs, and tail. Wait, is it the... Oh, crap. Okay, so its breakable bonds is the head, shoulder, and torso. So, yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I screwed that one up, so... Right, up next is the Aureus Nova. Which this time... Okay, I will say it's breakable bonds ahead of time. Its breakable bonds is the head, front legs, and tail, same as the Vajra. Though it's more related to the Ardanova and Diospida. So yeah. This is the Aureus Nova. Now you can see the whole Diospida faction, that being the body and wings. Though its elemental attribute is divine. Now this is its awakened state, full on, and It does have a larval form, but it's pretty much the same, only without the wings and the halo. But you probably get a closer look at the Aragami itself. Now, this is one of the variants that I would include, but not all the variants. Oh, and this Aragami is, well, the Arias Nova in both regular and larval forms are weak to freeze and spark attacks. So yeah, this is the larval form of the Arias Nova. Same weaknesses as it was awakened. Well, same breakable bonds it has from the previous one. Alright, now we go to our last Vajra variant for now, which is the Balfa Mata. So yeah, this is a Balfa Mata. Now you guys might be thinking, Dalton, that is a Prithvi Mata. Well, a closer look, it's not. It's a Balfa Mata. Now, it has the same weaknesses as a regular Prithvi Mata, and same attribute and same elemental weaknesses as a Prithvi Mata. But yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, I can't really tell the difference between a regular Prithvi Mata and a Balfa Mata. Unless if it's something to do with a little bit of the spike, like the back orientations. Oh yeah, I don't know. So yeah, in the comments down below, can some of you OG God Eater players tell me the difference between a Prithvi Mata and a Balfa Mata? Alright, so now we go on to the Quadriga, which is this Aragami. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much like a walking tank. Its attribute is Blaze. And as for the elemental weaknesses, it's weak to frost, well, freeze and divine. Its weak point is the front armor. Now, the breakable bonds is the exhaust, which is its headpiece, the front armor, and the missile pod, which the missile pods are located right here. Well, on each side. Like, one on its right and one on its left. Now, the exhaust is, well, here, if I recall. Now, this is the front armor, which you have to destroy. Which... yeah, sorry, if you guys can't tell, I'm recording this at night. Mainly because I feel like that, well, I can't really be intruded by my mom and grandfather at this time. So now we go on to one of the acceptable variants of the Quadriga. But first, before we go into that, I just want to say, hey, D-Rex, if you remember from the first live stream that I entered the chat in, which, well, it's the one where Shania becomes a Mobius, and before we got to that bit, to where you were doing a side quest where you have to save some members of the Lost Numbers, who pretty much snuck out to trying to prove a point to the head elder, which I'd say gathering quests are somewhat similar. Well, I find it the same as, well, in difficulty as taking on a Quadriga and a Borg Camlin in the same area. So yeah, now you know what a Quadriga looks like, and soon you would probably know what a Borg Camlin looks like thanks to this video. Alright, so now we go on to the Quadriga variant, the Tezcatli. Oh gosh, I feel like this name is also another name that I probably would butcher the name. So yeah, the Tezcatlipoca, which, well, it has the same weak points as a Quadriga, except in placement of the exhaust, it would be the helm on its head. And yes, this Aragami also fires missiles. So yeah, attack the missile pod and the armor. So yeah, its attribute weakness is divine, so yeah. So yeah. Alright, so now we go on to a Sariel, which is believed to be like a distant relative or distant variant to a Zygote, which this Aragami is like a harpy-like Aragami. So yeah, this is a Sariel. Now its breakable bonds are the head, the legs, if I recall correctly. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, so it is the head, legs, and the skirt, which is, well, this is the skirt, if I recall. Anyway, it's weak to spark, blaze, and freeze. So yeah, this Aragami is kind of a tricky one, considering that it's one of the flying ones. So yeah, this is one where you have to shoot down or wait for it to land and just keep on hacking it. Now we go on to a variant of the Sariel, which is known as Ether or Aether, which it's like a male Aragami. Well, a male version of the Sariel. Now, its weakness, two of them are the same as a Sariel, the head and skirt, though its third bond is the abdomen. So yeah, same elemental weakness as a Sariel, same attribute as a Sariel, which is divine. Now we go on to another Aragami, for which I also compared Gathering Quest 2 along with Quadriga. So yeah, this is a boar cablin. Now it's pretty much like a knight mixed with a scorpion, though its breakable bonds are the shield, the legs, and the tail. It's weak to freeze and spark attacks. So yeah, when the boar camlin starts using its tail, be on guard. And also get ready for its shield bash. So yeah, that's all I will have to say for now about the boar camlin. So yeah, like I said, it's tricky to deal with one. So yeah, now moving on to an origami which is my personal favorite, which is the Hannibal. So yeah, this is a Hannibal. And it's one of the rare dragon-like origami. Now its breakable bonds is the wrist to where the shield is, the head, and its back to where the scale is. Now watch out, this guy has fire swords, along with the corrosive Hannibal and the Hellfire Knight, which I will do in this video along with the Frozen Empress and the Lord of Thunder. But I'll do that when I get the main origami out of the way. So yeah, now we go into the corrosive Hannibal. Oh, I forgot to say. The weakness for a regular Hannibal is freeze and spark. So yeah, this is a corrosive Hannibal. Now, its elemental attribute is divine. Now, it has the same breakable bonds as a regular Hannibal, that being the shield wrist, the back, and the head. Though it's weak to freeze and spark and divine. Alright, now we go into a Caligula, which is a relative to the Hannibal. So yeah, this is a Caligula. Now the breakable bonds of this origami are the boosters, the head, and the two arm blades that it has. Now, this origami's attribute is freeze, so its weakness is spark and blaze. So yeah, just be on guard when you're dealing with this origami. Oh, and I almost forgot to say in the previous video, okay, so in the previous video, I gave you guys a room tour. But one thing I did forget to say is that this is actually my grandparents' place. Well, my grandpa. Now this is the rebuilt. Now the house that I'm in is actually the rebuilt version. So yeah, and well, I did say rebuilt because the original one that we were staying in burnt down on July the 1st of 2021. And at the time, we were in, well, we first stayed in a hotel, and then we moved into an apartment, which I actually like the apartment. So yeah, we stayed in the apartment until the house is rebuilt. So yeah. So yeah, here we are now. Oh, and as for the next origami on the list, it would be a garm, which this is a garm. And yes, its attribute is blaze. And it's a related species of the Marduk and Anubis. Now, it's pretty much a wolf-like origami. Now, its weak points actually, its breakable bonds are the front legs, most notably the gauntlets, the hind legs, and the head. Yeah, it's the head. Though its weak point is the head. Elemental weakness is freeze. Guess we should be like Mr. Freeze and be like, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Sorry, I had to do a joke. I had to do a bad pun. Sorry. Yeah, you can just get me to pun e-jail. Ah. Okay, I'll shut up about the puns. Alright, next origami on the list is Demiurge. Now, Demiurge's attribute is freeze, though in the actual norm database, there was an error saying that its attack element is blaze, but I think it got mixed up because its actual attack element is freeze. And its breakable bonds is in the head, the left leg, and the right leg. Its weakness element is freeze. Well, I almost messed that one up. Its weakness element is blaze. Oh, and fun fact, if you hit the head on a demiurge, breaking the human mask it has, it would reveal like its actual face, which it's like a goat, really. I mean, it's pretty much like it's pretty much stated in the origami information that it's a strange goat-like origami, though it is able to stretch its thick limbs at will. So yeah, this is one stretchy goat right there. So yeah. So yeah, moving on to our next origami, which you have seen this one somewhere in the beginning of the video I posted in a long while. It's Ouroboros. Now, its element attribute is divine. It's also weak to said element attribute. Now, its breakable bonds are the horns, the eyes, and its hind legs. Now, it's pretty much an octopus-like Aragami. Oh yeah, it is also known as the Conqueror of the Plains, as its body is pretty much the size of a mountain. As well as its tentacle attacks, it emits a large caliber beam. Its origins unknown, so yeah, it's best to avoid medium to long range combat. Stay out of its reach and repulse it with gunfire. Then strike one's sword to be safe. When activated by rage, its legs become vulnerable. So as you can see, yeah, its front legs are pretty much tentacles. So just be wary of that one. Now moving on to our next Aragami, which is related to the Arias Nova. That being Arda Nova. As soon as I get it in. Wait, is it? Yeah, it's there. Okay, so this is the Arda Nova. Now, it's pretty much two Aragami as one. So yeah, this one is the main god, which is actually one of its breakable bonds. So its other bonds is the hair, the halo, the legs. Yeah, I was right on the breakable bonds. Its weak point is the face on the god itself and its hair. As for its elemental weaknesses, it's all four elements. Well, on the goddess itself. Now, moving on to Venus, which, oh boy. So yeah, this is Venus. Now, it's pretty much an amalgamation of Aragami, of various Aragami like Gaboro, Borg Camlin, Quadriga, and Asariel. Now, its breakable bonds is the back jelly on the top side, the right jelly, the left jelly, and the rear jelly. Now, its weak point is the goddess, which you can actually see, which is right there. Its attribute is spark. It's weak to blaze. So yeah. Again, another Aragami to be wary of, like the Borg Camlin and the Quadriga. along with the Gaboro Gaboro, but I'm not too worried about Gaboro Gaboros. Now, what is after the Venus? Oh, that's right, QB. I'm a... Okay, so here we have the QB, which, as you can tell, it's pretty much the nine-tailed fox. So yeah, its breakable bonds is the head, the breastplate, and the minus toe, mainly the middle one. Its attribute is divine. It's weak to blaze and divine. Wait, is it? Yeah, it's blaze and divine. Now, I haven't fought this Aragami yet, but I will say this. Just be wary of this one because it's a fast and tricky one. Alright, now we go on to our next large Aragami, which is the Chrome Gawain. So yeah, this is a Chrome Gawain. Now its attribute is freeze. It's weak to spark. Now its breakable bonds is the head, rear legs, and pair arms. Now the next Aragami that you will see is related to this one. Which this one is known as the Orochi. So yeah. Here is the Orochi, which its attribute is Blaze and Divine. Its weakness is actually the same as a Chrome Gawain, but instead of the pair arms, in placement of them is the arm heads. Now it's weak to freeze attacks. Now we go into wait, no, I'm not doing the God Arc soldiers. I almost forgot that we're not doing God Arc soldiers. Oh yeah, and while I'm at it, best anyway, you guys can. Yeah, I almost forgot to prep for this one. So you guys can have a beautiful view of my room from here. As while I get things prepped. Yeah, I know it's late preparation, but still. Okay. Now I know this video is going to take an hour with all the left-in stuff here, but hey. Now we go with the world opener. Which, this would actually make my explanation for its elemental weakness, resistance, and attribute. Well, it doesn't have any elemental weaknesses nor resistances. Heck, it doesn't even have an attribute. But if it should, I would say divine. So yeah, here we have the world opener. Yeah, this is the world opener. Now, its breakable bond is its shoulder armor. Its weak point is the blue center core. Now, this Aragami does have, well, it's pretty much a mutated human from high experimentations. So yeah, the actual head of the world opener is there, which is basically a human impaled by a crown. Yeah. Pretty deadly. And with the fact that it has 6 swords. Oh boy. Alright, now we go into our last large Aragami for now. Which this one is called the World Closer. Now, it does have a variant known as the Last Vestige, but I'm not including that one. So yeah, this is the World Closer. And if you're wondering, yes, this is pretty much a human turned Aragami. Yes, it is possible for humans with somewhat of high-end oracle cells or somewhat of a strong will to devour becomes. Now, for those of you who have played Pokemon Sun and Moon or have seen the anime adaptation of Pokemon Sun and Moon, you might remember that there was a human who fused with an Ultra Beast. Where do you think the idea of that one came from? Yeah, it came from that specific Aragami. Now, its attribute is Divine. It's weak to Blaze, Spark, and Freeze attacks. Now, its breakable bonds are the front legs, hind legs, and the head. So yeah. Same way to kill Thanos at the beginning of Endgame. Just go for the head. Yeah. Sorry, I had to reference that. Kind of like how D-Rex referenced the... Well, in the comment of the video that I made, where I said, Zenojutsu covers plus a semi-room tour. He pretty much compared my upcoming series, Zenojutsu, which once I get the right equipment and the right materials and the right resources, even references, yes, I'd say that, references, I will be good to go, and the series will be on the way. So yeah. So yeah, I had to reference in-game when doing the world closer. And I almost forgot that I also had to do a Pokemon reference for the world closer. Yeah, I compare the world closer to Mother Beast Lusamine from Sun and Moon, because They're both somewhat similar, except one uses Pokemon to attack, while the other one fights them head on. Alright, now we go on to the Deucephage. Well, the Dosephage. So our first Dosephage is Susanoo. So yeah, Susanoo is a variant of the Borkamlin, but it does have, well, its weakness, well, two of the breakable bonds is similar to a Borkamlin, that being the shield with, but in placement of the shield would be two Chompers, and it still has that stinger weakness, though it's not the tail, it's the stinger. And its weakness, well, its breakable bond is the mouth. Its attribute is divine. Its weakness is also divine. So yeah. Now we go to our other Deucephage, which is a variant of the Ouroboros Amaterasu. So yeah. This is Amaterasu. Its element is Blaze and Divine. Breakable bonds would be the tentacles, the horn, and the goddess. Its weak point is the statue, with it being the goddess. Now its weakness is Spark. And, well, for those who have played Xenoblade 2 and who have gotten the Blade Dahlia, well, surely they haven't dealt with this Aragami. Yeah, Amaterasu. Now then. Now on to Tsukuyomi, which is a related species of the Ardanova. So this is Tsukuyomi. Now its attribute is divine. Its weakness is the same as the Ardanova, except it doesn't have that god weakness. So yeah, its moon halo can be, well, its breakable bonds is the same as the Ardanova, though it's weak to spark attacks. Though its weak point is the moon halo and the hair, but the difference of okay, its third breakable bond isn't the leg armor, it's the arm armor. Alright, now we go on to Zeus. So yeah, Zeus is a related species of Aragami to the Sariel and the Ether. Its element is divine. Its weakness is divine. Now its breakable bonds is the same as the Ether, that being the head, skirt, and abdomen. Now then, moving on to our third Dosephage would be Hera, which is a variant of the Chiyu and the Segment. So yeah, this is Hera. Now, its breakable bonds are the fist, the wings, and the head. Its attribute is blaze. Its weakness element is freeze. Now, moving on to our last Deophage would be Poseidon. So yeah, this is Poseidon. And yes, it's a variant of the Quadriga and the Tezcatlipoca, though it has the same breakable bonds as a Tezcatlipoca, that being the helm, the missile pods, and the front armor. Its attribute is divine. It's weak to divine. Right, now we go on to Scions, which Scion Aragami, or they're basically like if Aragamis can control other Aragami just by emitting a certain bias factor. And considering that God Arcs are technically Aragami, then Scion type Aragami can take control of the God Arcs as well, making the God Arcs themselves not work. Now we go on to our first Scion, which it's a medium-sized harpy-like Aragami, resembling a cross between a Chiyu and a Sariel, named Yanzi. Well, Yanzi? I don't know how to pronounce that last one. Yeah, it's Yanzi. Now, its attribute is freeze. Its breakable bonds are the head, the wings, and the lower body. Its weak point is the head. And it's weak to blaze attacks. And it can also summon the Zhaowang to the field, because those two, they're related, like say a mother and child. That's how I'm pretty much gonna do the Yanzi and the Zhaowang too. Basically, mother and child. Now we go on to our second Scion, which is the Kabbalah, which it's a it's a relative of the Gaboro. So yeah, this is the Kabbalah. Now if you're thinking, wow, it has a tiny mouth, well, that's where you're wrong, because that's not its mouth, it's a decoy. Its actual mouth is hidden within all that hair. Its attribute is spark. And its breakable bonds are the nose, arm fins, and tail fin. It's weak to blaze, freeze, and divine. Though its weak point is its nose. So yeah, that's the Scion Aragami, the Kabbalah. Now we go on to another Aragami, which is a relative of the Sariel, Ether, and Zeus, being called the Nyx Alpha. So yeah, this is a Nyx alpha. Now its attribute is divine. As for its breakable bonds, it's the legs, skirt, and spear. It doesn't have any weak elementals. Now its weak points, it's pretty much all with specific bullet types. And that's a Nyx alpha. And now we go on to my personal favorite Scion Aragami, the Marduk. Alright, so after this. Okay, so this is a Marduk. Alright, so its attribute is Blaze. It's related to the Garm and its own variant, the Melamu Marduk. Now, its breakable bonds is the same as a Garm, that being the head, the gauntlets, and the hind legs. It's weak to freeze, and its weak point is when the head is broken. Now be wary of this one. Now we go on to a variant of the Caligula and the Hannibal. Which this guy's known as Spartacus. So this is a Spartacus. And its attribute is Spark. Its bonds are the legs, left arm, and right arm. Its weak point is the head. It's actually weak to blaze elemental attacks. So yeah. Moving on to our last Scion, which is the Magetsu QB. Which, I don't know if you guys can get a clear shot of this one, but there's the Magetsu QB. And yes, it's related to the QB. Now, its attribute is Divine. It's weak to Blaze and Divine, like the regular QB. Now, its breakable bonds is the same as a QB, that being the head, chest, and middle tail. Alright, now we go on to the Arc Aberrants. Oh. Okay, so our first Arc Aberrant is the Magna Gawain. So yeah, there's the Magna Gawain. Now, its element attribute is Divine. Its breakable bonds are the head, the shield, the pair of arms, and the legs. It's weak to freeze, though it is resistant to Divine, so yeah, just be on guard with that one. And oh, here's a front image of its face. Yeah, it pretty much has a skull for a face. Now we go on to the Antovasara. The Antovasara. which is this Aragami, which is similar to the Vasara. Now its attribute is divine. Its breakable bonds is the same as the Vasara, which is the head, back turbine, and tail. It's weak to freeze and spark. So yeah, that's an Vasara. Now you're thinking, wait, Autos was with a crocodile? No, he wasn't. He wasn't with the crocodile. He was with the Telethia. Complete different. Alright, now we go on to the Yaksha Tivra. Which, it's more related to a Yaksha Raja. And alright, it's a divine. It's weak to freeze. Now, its weakness is the pauldrons, the head, and the buster blades, which is on its claws. Oh, wait, its attribute is blaze. My bad. Now, I'm just realizing this now, but there are a few Aragami that I forgot to include, so my bad. So. Alright, what is that? Okay, so the first Aragami I forgot is the Chernobog. Its attribute is divine. Its weakness is divine. So yeah, here is a Chernobog, if the camera would view in. There it is. Okay, so its breakable bonds is the head, the sickle, and the core, which it's a mantis-like Aragami. And the second large Aragami I forgot was the Queen Maiden. Which, it is a relative of the Cocoon Maiden. So yeah. Here is the Queen Maiden. Now it is weak to blaze attacks. Wait, is it weak to blaze attacks? Yeah, it is weak to blaze attacks. Its attribute is Spark. Sorry. I remembered that I forgot two other large Aragami, so sorry about that. Alright, now we go on to the variant of the world opener, the Inhara. Now this is the Inhara. It has, well, actually it has no attribute. It's weak to freeze, spark, and blaze attacks. Its breakable bonds are the head, the crest, which is the core, and the swords. Right, now we go into the Caligula Zeno. Now, its attribute is Spark. So here's the Caligula Zeno. Its weak points are, it has 4 breakable bonds, and the bonds are, it has 4 breakable bonds. 3 of the bonds are the same as a regular Caligula, which is the left and right arm blades and the boosters. But its 4th one is the spear on his head. Now, its weak point is the unbound head, which is when you break the head. It's weak to blaze, it's resistant to spark. Now we go on to the Rakasha Congo. Well, Rakshasa Congo. Sorry, I said the name wrong. So yeah, this is the Rakshasa Congo. Its weak points are the head, tail, and the booster hammer portion, which are these. Its weak points are the head and tail. Its attribute is Blaze. It's weak to Divine. Alright, now we go on to our last Arc Aberrant, which is the Mukuro QB. So yeah, this is the Mukuro QB. Now its attribute is Freeze and Divine. Its breakable bonds are the middle tail, the chest, and the short ears. It's weak to Blaze. Well, actually, it's weak to Spark. It's resistant to Blaze. Yeah, sorry about that. Alright, now with the Arc Aberrants done with, now we go on to Ashbourne. Starting off with Ra. Oh, I almost forgot. Now, Ashbourne or Ash Aragami. They're Aragami which are capable of entering burst state like all God Eaters when they devour. So yeah, just be wary of an Ash Aragami's Devour attack. So yeah, first one that we're dealing with is Ra. Like the Egyptian god, Ra. Now its attribute is Blaze. Its elemental weakness is Freeze. Now its breakable bonds are the head, the arms, and the geothermal kiln. Which, there's the kiln, the arms, and the head. Alright, the next Ash Aragami is Nuada. So yeah, there is a Nuada. Now, its attribute is Divine. its breakable bonds is the left arm, Ariel, and the legs. It's weak to Blaze and Divine. Now moving... Now moving on to the Balmung. Now, again, for all you Xenoblade players out there, when you see this Aragami, I want you guys to think of Dromark. Like, compare Dromark to this Aragami. In appearance, though, I will say that. So yeah, this is a Balmung. Yeah, it's pretty much a lion mixed with a jet engine. Now, its attribute is Spark. Its breakable bonds are the boosters, the front legs, and the rear legs. It's weak to blaze attacks, so... Alright, now we go on to Anubis, which... Oh boy. So yeah, here is Anubis. Now its attribute is Divine. Now its breakable bonds are the head, the arms, and the legs. It's weak to Divine attacks as well. Alright, now we go on to Dromi, which for this Aragami, it is also known as the Age Eater. Wait. So, here's pretty much a Dromi. Now, its attribute is Freeze. Its breakable bonds are the head, tail, and legs. It's weak to Spark. And, most obviously, it's weak to Freeze. Alright, now we go on to Odin. Let me just screw this. Now, this is Odin. Well, half of Odin. Because its lower half, it pretty much has 4 legs. Now, its element is Divine. It's weak to Divine. Now, I'm pretty sure its breakable bonds is the same as its variant, Megiddo Odin. For its its weak point is the head, the right foreleg, and the left foreleg. Now, before we go on to the humanoid Aragami, I'm going to go ahead and bring out the Aragami that you fight as DLC bosses in Code Vein. Which, I don't have to look it up on the wiki because I have the screenshots I've taken on my PS4, so... So yeah, the first origami is the Hellfire Knight, which its related species is the Hannibal. Well, not much is known, like, say, breakable bonds, because, well, you fight this one in Code Vein, and, well, its element is actually Blaze. It's weak to spark attacks, like, say, electricity. Alright. Now we go on to the Frozen Empress, which, here it is. There's the Frozen Empress. I mean, as for its element, well, as for its attribute, I feel like the name should be a bit self-explanatory. I mean, it's ice, right? And it's weak to fire attacks. As for its related species, a Marduk and a Privdimata. Well, the Marduk you can obviously tell by the body type. The Privdimata you can tell by the face, because it has that feminine face. Alright, now we go on to the third origami you fight in Code Vein, which is the Lord of Thunder. Now, as for its name, it uses spark, or in this case, electric-based attacks. As for its species, it's a genetic cross between a Vajra and a Diauspida. The Vajra being the body and obviously the face. The Diauspida being the wings and the fact that it can use red lightning. And watch out, because this origami, once the red lightning's out, well, I would say once the red lightning's in, you might want to have some anti-stun, because these guys can stun you. Now, as for the humanoid origami, now, forgive me for this one, but I'm going to start out of order. So yeah, let me just... find the right one. Alright, so, as for preparation, so yeah, as for humanoid origami, well, you could say I'm still keeping my word. Well, actually, I'm not gonna start out of order. No, that would be somewhat insane. So, the first, oh wait, I forgot to turn this one right side up. So, the first humanoid origami would be Shio. So yeah, that is Shio. Well, first humanoid origami. Well, the first one to properly have a human form, mind, and all, they'll still have, well, Aragami as well. Well, Oracle cells, which all Aragami have that. Now, she doesn't have, well, unlike other Aragami, humanoid Aragami aren't, willing to attack humans. Which, whew. And as the majority of humanoid Aragami that I'll be showing are pretty much children. Well, more children-based is what I'm trying to say. As for our second and last Aragami on the list would be Theme. So yeah, that is Theme. As for the type of humanoid Aragami, I'd say Ashborn because, or in this case, adaptive. Because in the area where she was pretty much born, the ash kills you, alright? And it's from the ash Aragami that they're pretty much able to survive. Even because the ash would corrupt you. And Aragami, including the Aragami that are born from the ash, including this humanoid Aragami, even a new type of God Eaters known as Ages, and few other God Eaters and old types are able to survive the ash. Now, normal humans, they won't last, say, 2 minutes in the high ash density, or even survive an ash storm. So yeah, that is Aragami 101. Now, if you like this video, hit like and subscribe to Akatsuki leader Dalton, which is me, and hit that notification bell. Now, this is Team Akatsuki leader Dalton, signing off for now. Oh, and D-Rex, keep making the great content. And for all you viewers out there, go check out D-Rex's channel, which he's a great dude, though. And also check out Will's channel, DA Games, and the Will Ryan channel. Well, those two are great dudes, alright? Sure, I haven't met them personally, but they're great dudes, alright? So yeah, this is Akatsuki leader Dalton, signing off.